Okay, that was quite a engaging session before this. Thanks, Tanya, for getting us on stage. My name is Sumit. I'm a managing director and senior partner with BCG. Lead the climate and sustainability practice for BCG in Asia. Today, I am joined by Jagdish Mohan, who's the joint president at Hindalco Industries. Hindalco needs no introduction. Jagdish, you lead the aluminium foils and packaging business at Hindalco. You know, you've been there several years in the Aditya Birla Group, over 20 years of experience across marketing, sales, manufacturing, across industries. So it's great to be here together with you. I know, one of the vision that you have set for this business is that to establish Hindalco as, a future-forward, sustainability-driven aluminium packaging business and solution provider, not just in India, but globally as well. So it's really exciting. First of all, I really, must applaud the vision that you and the full leadership team at Hindalco has set for itself. But, it's quite challenging. And I think we all know it's not that straightforward. Sustainability is a key, but obviously comes with a lot of pros and cost attached to it. So I really am curious, and I am sure the audience also wants to know, how have you embedded sustainability into the business strategy itself? Are there any lessons that you have drawn from it, and which our audience should also draw as they think about incorporating sustainability as a core pillar of business strategy going forward as well?
Yeah. Thank you, Sumit. That was a lovely introduction. And Hindalco, it's very unusual. When we think of packaging, perhaps you would never think of a metal company. It's never top of the mind. And sustainability is very, very core to Hindalco. Okay, so if you keep it that way, that is the simplest. It's very core to Hindalco. When we talk of Hindalco as a brand, okay, it is one of the foremost pillars of brand Hindalco. Okay, so we say Hindalco, engineering better futures. We engineer a sustainable, value-added product, co-created with customer, for the world. That is the detail of it. So sustainability is very core to it. So core that it is in the annual target sheet of every individual in the company. It is not a sustainability function activity.
Wow.
Even the sales guy has sustainability targets. It's not only a manufacturing function target. It's very, very core. It's very central to the organization. Now, when we talk of sustainability again, generally people will talk about GHG emissions. We are a large organization. We manufacture aluminum. Aluminum has high carbon footprint. So typically people will talk about reducing carbon footprint. That's only one aspect to it. For us, sustainability is more holistic. Okay, it is about zero land to refill, zero liquid discharge, forest cover, so many aspects to it. And yes, GHG is also a part of it. Decarb is a part of it, strongly supported by circularity.
Yep.
Okay, so when we talk about it, okay, if I talk about decarb, by 2030 we have a 25% GHG reduction target. In our latest expansions, where we actually smelt aluminum, okay, around 190 megawatt of renewable power is already installed. Okay, we have another project going on, really just hitting to be live over there, 65 megawatt of one of the first in the world, okay, which we call pumped hydro technology. Okay, it's very simple. Okay, you harvest rainwater or other sources of water, use sunlight, and use sunlight to actually raise water to an elevated level, convert the potential energy to kinetic energy, and harness power out of that. And saying these are small things. We started thinking about it way long back. Even when the world, at least in India, no one would think about it. I think, so that is really, it is in our DNA. Even the manufacturing guy on the floor, he really thinks about it as to how he can really there can be energy efficiency, resource optimization, all of that. So sustainability is very core. On the other side, Circularity. How do we really bring in circularity? I think this as a thinking has really now started becoming even more active.
Yeah.
While energy was one side of it, I think now circularity, now this is something that we are thinking even more as to how whatever we make, how can we make it more circular, how can we make a supply chain for circularity, how can we offer more circular options to our customers. I think if that is any inspiration.
Oh wow! So it's circularity, sustainability, and I just love the part that it's a metric for not just the manufacturing function or people on the field force, but it's actually all through embedded right across all business leaders. I think that's great, and that's something that should inspire a lot of people sitting in the audience to also incorporate it as well. But this is a very telling part, and we always think about sustainability as a technology challenge. I think it's as much of an organizational challenge as much it's technology. So how have you seen this mindset shift happen? This sustainability as a strategy to then actually having it as a part of execution, like all the projects that you spoke about, these all finally cost millions of dollars. So how have you seen this organizational mind shift help shift this from vision to strategy to actually now execution on ground? And not just internally alone, but even say with some of your customers, how has the evolution been over the last maybe 2-3 years on that account?
See, to be honest, this is not a 2-3 year journey. Okay, a sustainability journey can never be a 2-3 year journey, and no results can be achieved even in 5 years.
Yep.
Right? So our journey on sustainability started perhaps maybe 10 to 12 years back.
Wow.
We are a global organization. We picked up some cues from Europe. We saw the world moving in that direction, and perhaps that could have been one of the triggers when we said that if we want to expand, we'll have to be conscious because we have global aspirations. We're not a small organization. When we have to grow, we have to sell. Where do we sell? So the whole world is our marketplace. So being cognizant of the changes that are happening, the macro changes that are happening, that is actually a mega trend shaping up. While we don't speak of it as a mega trend per se, but it is a mega trend that was shaping up even at that time, 10 years back. And I think that is when there were many sessions within the organization when we thought that this is one direction that we should take. In an industry where differentiation is so little, you produce metal. Okay, you can provide solutions, you can have the best of the quality, but how are you actually ahead of the curve? And you have to really demonstrate that you are ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that is where we said that, okay, we will actually adopt sustainability as one of our key pillars. Okay, sustainability is today, it's not only a metric for us, as I said, okay, it is the cornerstone of our investment decisions, long-term strategy, innovation pipeline. I think sustainability is one of the lenses through which we evaluate everything. Okay, talking of, so I think it is more of internal. Externally, yeah, we may have picked some cues, but nothing really changed for us. Even today, if you ask, last 2-3 years, yes, the world is speaking about sustainable practices, the world is talking about green premiums and all of that. Europe does speak. Europe perhaps is the only market which indicatively even suggests what a green premium is. There are customers who do not pay. Okay, there are some customers who really value for that. India does not. India talks about it, but really if you ask, is anyone really willing to pay at scale? So we have people from the brands over here, they'll all say, no, we just cannot absorb it. Okay, there is no scope for absorption. I think India still there is a journey for India to go. That is it. I think while the world around us may not have moved really forward in that direction, but I think we took it upon ourselves to move. We chose that direction, and I think we are confident. Like for the last 5 years, we are the most sustainable aluminum company in the world. Okay, we are adjudged by S&P Dow Jones indices. So this is happening for 5 times in a row. So now the world recognizes us. So today when we go to Europe, while the whole of Europe talks about carbon footprint, because some of the smelters over there are really gifted with natural hydropower. Yep. We in India, we have coal. So being geographically located in India cannot be a disadvantage to a player which actually does not have access to hydropower. But with all of this, today we are on the same table with those aluminum manufacturers as well. Okay, we at least we have a voice over there, and we are heard. We are the largest aluminum recyclers in the world through our subsidiary, which is Novelis. So I think we have tried to swing the needle in our favor, but still there's a long distance to go.
Wow, wonderful to hear. And I think some of those examples again are very, very encouraging and also inspiring, given, as you said, while the world really actively started speaking about sustainability, maybe, since the Paris Agreement, I think Hindalco has been thinking about it long back. And I think some of those things are required to invest ahead of time to stay ahead as well. I think that's wonderful. As we've been in this journey, are there some examples that come to your mind that, have really stuck in terms of, either being front runners or, even, something which globally you've seen other companies do, which has stood out, for Hindalco or done by Hindalco, which, maybe others can learn from? Any innovation kind of examples that you would want our audience to know?
See, so I'll say through Novelis, okay, because Novelis is really, it has a global footprint, and it has been doing, we also learn a lot from Novelis, right? So like Novelis, like today, every beverage can globally, the aluminum beverage can that you see, okay, it comes back or it gets reborn as a can within a span of 60 to 90 days. Now that is packaging circularity. We talk about innovation, there is innovation in metallurgy, there is innovation in manufacturing, there is innovation in supply chain. Okay, you are really working closely with the brands, with yourself, you are challenging yourself. Okay, they started perhaps like even the beverage can, if it started with virgin aluminum. Okay, today globally I think we have an average of 65% recycled content, moving up to even 75-80%. I think we have been pushing our limits. Every year the percentage of recycled aluminum content keeps on increasing. And what is even more fascinating is that in aluminum as a material, in the area of polymers, we still say we'll try to use one larger family of polymers and still see how many times we can reuse it. In aluminum is an alloy. You have basic aluminum and you have alloying elements into it. You can only do 100% closed loop recycling if you are able to maintain the integrity of the alloy. Because manganese has a different function to perform, you have copper has a different function to perform, iron has a different function to perform. You really cannot fiddle with the alloy compositions a lot over there. And we do this by maintaining that integrity. I think that is something, that's innovation really, something to be really very proud about. While we have been doing it in the area of cans globally, I think we are starting to do that in India as well. While in India we have been making can body stocks through virgin aluminum, now we have facilities where we can use recycled content. I think that journey is starting in India. In packaging foils that we do, we've done many lab scale experiments with collecting end use PCB, what you say, okay, PCR, the end use household kitchen foil. Okay, so we've taken that, we've taken containers from the market, and we've seen if we can actually reincarnate them into foil again. We have done that, we have launched our brands, but again, these brands are there and these are products to sell in Europe. Okay. We are happy to partner with anyone in India to create a story in India. Okay, I think whatever we have been doing a lot. We have been improving our scores, but really have we been able to swing the needle in India? We would be happy to do that. So any company, any FMCG company, any pharma company really wanting to do a sustainability turnaround with aluminum, if they see the scope for aluminum, happy to partner. That really excites us.
No, wonderful, and it's just great to see the plethora of innovation that's happening, and market is not restricting in terms of what you want to do or what you can do, but you are basically putting it ahead of the market so that one can adopt. So it's terrific. I hope a lot of people will take inspiration from it. I think you mentioned you're seeing a lot of action in Europe and a lot of purchase as well. We do know, a lot of regulations and regulatory practices are, providing the impetus, and then of course the consumer angle also starts coming in as well. Are there in your mind any of these, global benchmarks, global regulatory practices that, maybe India as a country should look at maybe exploring and then potentially adopting over the next few years as well?
See, by and large, most of the countries have adopted the EPR model, right? So, with a few variations, what I understand is largely it is the same. Okay, they want the producer to take responsibility of the materials they are introducing. Some countries say, okay, you have recycled content. Some say you start collecting, but the ownership or driving ownership is there. Japan is extremely good. Korea is extremely good. China is also doing well over there. I think Europe is the hallmark. Okay, the latest one, which they call it, what do they call? Packaging and packaging waste regulation. I think that is how they call it. So some few interesting facts over there, or a few things for us to take away. They say by 2030, all packaging should be designed for recyclability. Very clear. Okay, design for recyclability by 2030. By 2035, all packaging has to be recyclable and demonstrate, and recycling has to be demonstrated at scale. Okay, I think very clear things, very interesting. And again, they say the food service industry. Okay, so if you go to say one of the Domino's or the burger houses and all of that, they say what it is they have to encourage refill and reuse. Yeah. I think these are some things that we'll have to adopt quickly. Refill, reuse is not new to India. I think they are talking about it now. We are the true owners of refill and reuse. Right? We all have grown up using the same things again and again and again till they really they got shredded away. Yeah. Like that's our past. I think, and we have discarded that. I think as a value, that is something that we have to start encouraging much more. And I think even policy has a role to play over there. I think that is something I would think these are the good things which we have forgotten, we have to reintroduce into our society.
No, absolutely, and what you said, I think traditionally in families and maybe a lot of us can very closely relate to it. Like in generations when clothes used to get older, they used to get passed on to the next sibling and the next cousin sibling, and I don't know for how long it actually stayed in practice as well. And some of those things now we are giving up, but maybe Europe and many of the other countries are now starting to adopt and calling them recycle, reduce, reuse, and recycle. All the 3 R's as well. I think this is great to hear. I think when you think about regulations, there are always two sides, right? There is one what the government pushes and one what the industry pushes as well in terms of what we could call as sustainability standards. Anything that you feel there that we together as a group should at least explore, encourage, and maybe perhaps adopt over a period of time, so that this just doesn't remain a talk in this room. This actually becomes the practice, and you can actually see a lot of people lining up to not just consume but also then to supply, and the industry balance where gets maintained. Any thoughts on those lines?
See, I think regulation is doing its job. Okay, we can't push regulation too fast also, because I think there are many participants in the entire value chain, in the entire ecosystem. Okay, everyone may not be able to move at the same speed. So pushing regulation too fast, I really like. Sometimes we even as Hindalco, sometimes when we interact with the regulators, we also feel that the speed of the regulator, the expectation on speed of the regulator is too fast. Okay, and the ecosystem has still not evolved. Investments have really not happened. Investments in India take time, right? Even if I have to open a small factory, it takes time. You have to purchase land, you have to take your permissions, there is a law. So you can introduce a regulation today overnight in say 30 days. But for me to set up something will take minimum 12, 18 months. Right, so I think regulation will do its job, it needs to do its job. The best part in India is today that the regulator is actually actively talking to the industry. I think that's a good sign. Implementation, execution or rigor of execution, that is I think that is one place where we have to really focus. We have had the single-use plastic bans and all, and still they are all visible. Okay, so there are loopholes in the system, there are leakages happening in the system. How do we plug all of those? I think those are the small things that become really very important. How do we formalize the entire waste collection ecosystem? Very, very critical to this entire piece that we are talking about. We can have beautiful laws, but if the person over there, down there, who is picking up who is actually picking up waste, if you really do not give him dignity of that labor and bring him into the formal system, this system will not work. That is point number one. Point number two is NGOs alone cannot do this cleaning up job. Right? Large players, with all seriousness, will have to show conviction and participate in this journey.
Agree.
And if you want large players to come in, I think here there is the role of the government as well. Because the large player, he has his economics with him. He's very clear. He says, okay, today if I have to operate in this space, I can only operate as a formal player. And working as a formal player has its own costs.
Yeah.
Right? Today, like someone over there can really collect waste from a rag picker, pile them up in the open. I as Hindalco will never be able to do it. Right? I'll have to rent land for it. I'll have to construct a warehouse over there. I'll have to deploy security over there. I'll have to have a manager over there who really keeps accounts and who actually maintains inventory. Everything has to be recorded. I think all of this is cost. So I think the role of the government in formalizing this entire space is very, very critical. That is very important. And one other piece, while we are doing all of this, whether we can really do away with multi-layer materials is a question that we have been grappling with. I think investments in separation technologies, I think serious investment, R&D has to work, like Indian Institute of Packaging, the packaging institutes, the IITs, all of them, industry, government, institutes have to work together to actually come out with separation technologies. It's not really difficult, I think, if the intent is there. Today, I feel the industry really does not wholeheartedly participate in it. The industry is finding easier ways. I'll go to a mono material. I say, if you cannot solve for it, I'll ask the entire pharma industry, if you can really avoid the polymer and the aluminum, they cannot. We'll have to find a solution to it.
Exactly. No, I think wonderful thoughts. I know we are also coming to close to the end of the time. I wanted to also check if audience has any questions. I have many. I can go on for the next half an hour more as well. But if there are any questions from anyone in the audience, would be lovely to take those as well. Otherwise, maybe I'll take one more and then we can conclude with permission from Tanya. Any questions, anyone? Okay, maybe let me ask on their behalf one.
Metal does not excite people, I can see it.
No, I think they're already seeing you're doing a lot of stuff, so it's difficult to ask anything more. They have to do their homework to start using it. But I think you mentioned about the ecosystem and, collection and there has always been this tussle of cash economy that's been there. But, I think one of the successes that we've seen is on the PET side, where the economics have worked really well. So you nowadays hardly find bottles lying idle. Of course, that's not true for the remaining plastics as well. Any one last thought here in terms of how can, from a metals, aluminium side, how can we move towards a similar goal that, in India we could get to 90% plus recycling?
See, from a metal side, I think the challenge is actually very limited. extremely limited, because while our formal figures, formal surveys and figures, they can quote something like 65%, 70% metal gets recycled and all of that. I truly believe, because whatever surveys I have done informally outside the system, okay, without any researcher, in cities wherever I have gone to recyclers, I have gone to the scrap dealers, and I have actually spent time with all of these, I have seen, my understanding is that more than 85% of aluminum waste actually comes back from the recycling chain.
Wonderful.
Okay. Even the kitchen foil that you discard in your trash, even that comes back, because that sells at 25 rupees a kg. Okay. Much more than what your newspaper sells at. Okay. So that is coming back.
We should start storing those files.
We should. Okay. And for us as a brand owner also, like we have Fresh Wrap as a brand over there, for us the challenge is, how do I bring that kitchen foil back into my stream? Okay, these are the challenges that I am working with, very small, because it may be a 15 by 15 centimeter piece that I use every time, right? How do I bring that back? How do I incentivize that? How do I encourage circularity in that? How do I encourage reuse in that? Today, while everyone talks about how can I sell more, we said we want to sell more, definitely. But how can I encourage them to reuse it? Because it's nothing that needs to be discarded immediately. Okay, I think more from a behavioral point of view, we as citizens, industry need to do much more in this space.
Oh, wonderful, Jagdish. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. I think, how do we think about staying ahead of the curve on innovation? How do we invest looking at, future trends, and then, work with the ecosystem to make something which seems impossible from outside actually possible and then viable as well. I think it's just, the journey has been amazing. I wish you good luck in, hoping that very soon the 65 to 85 to 95 can happen. And hopefully all of the participants here will contribute to that journey going forward as well. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights with us.
Thank you, Sumit. Thank you. It was lovely talking to you.
It was so nice listening to this session, and while I was listening to it, I was relating it as to my own way of working through it. Like we must always follow the traditional ways of how we used to be. The local kabadi walas are very useful and effective. Instead of throwing the products we use in their packets in the dustbin, we might as well give it to the kabadi walas. Maybe we'll not get anything much out of it, but at least they can be segregated and recycled, because they are the most old ways of recycling our products, our packaging products. So with that, I'll end this session, and I will hand over the mementos, and I would call Mr. Uthiraja to kindly come up on the stage to hand over the mementos, please.
Thank you so much.
Can we have a group photo, sir? Can we have a group photo together? I would request my colleague Munmun to kindly come up to the stage along with Tanya. We can have a group photo together.
I know you should be in the center.
Munmun, please come.